Let's go. Hey, it's Mythic Mike. We're going to go through my favorite top 40 cards in the new Foundation set. It's going to be standard legal, has over 400 cards, and they're going to be standard legal for 5 years. Magic is doing this thing where they want a base set to be legal in standard for a lot longer. November 12th on Arena, November 15th in paper, and there are some insane bangers. Around half are reprints, but really good ones, and half are new cards. Let's get into my favorites. The first one is Dragon Master Outcast. Look at this card. My God. 1 mana, red, 1/1 human shaman. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 6 or more lands, you automatically create a 5/5 red dragon creature token with flying. So this is a 1/1 human. You ramp, play landfall, whatever you're doing. And then as soon as we have 6 lands, this is just a win con, making dragons out of nowhere. Notably, there's the Overlord, the green one that makes land tokens. There's a bunch of ways to get more lands in play. Super fun card. I love dragons. Let's go. Llanowar Elves reprint coming back, but a 1 mana dork. I think will make green great again because it has no conditions, and this has and always will be busted. Look at this card. Look at this card, guys. Stormkirk Noble, 1 mana, Vampire Noble, rare, not legendary. It can't be blocked by humans, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So it just grows. Control has to deal with it. We're getting through. This is going to be awesome. And on a vampire body. By the way, I'm going to go 1 mana cards. Those were the 3 notable ones. Then to 2 mana, then 3 mana, and up. Power level gets wild, as you're about to see, especially as you go up in mana value. Boros Charm, a broken card. What are they doing here? I believe this is a reprint, but 2 mana, instant, choose 1. Deal 4 damage to target player or planeswalker. That's a good rate. Or permanents you control gain indestructible, including non-creatures. That means you can blow people out in combat. You can stop, normal removal spells. That's good. Or target creature gains double strike until end turn. That's also good. I play 2 mana spells that give a creature double strike and are attached to terrible options, right? Like a 5 mana 4/3 or something. This has target creature gains double strike, 2 mana instant speed, tied to 2 other good options. Insane. Brineborn Cutthroat, a reprint that is amazing, always will be. Budget banger. Merfolk Pirate. Was it always uncommon? I don't know. It's a 2/1 flash, and whenever you cast a spell during an opponent's turn, put a +1/+1 on this creature. There's going to be a Simic Flash deck. I'm making it early. This thing just grows way quicker than you think, and it's 2 relevant creature types. It's going to be sick. Crystal Barricade, pretty insane card. 2 mana, 0/4 defender, artifact, wall. You have hexproof, so you can't be targeted by target creature player discards, by burn spells, by a lot of things, right? And prevent all non-combat damage that will be dealt to other creatures you control. So mono red just can't kill your stuff with burn spells. Pretty hateful card, but pretty funny one. They reprinted Finn the Fangbearer, Death Touch guy, and whenever a Death Touch creature hits, they get 2 poison counters instead of 1. We already have Toxic in the meta giving poison counters. This is a quicker clock. Always super fun to just play a bunch of Death Touch creatures, and the opponent has 10 life instead of 20, or actually 5 life, right? Because they only need 10 poison counters to die. So we just need to get 5 hits in with this out. My God, it's always been hilarious. Guys, there are exciting cards in here. Look at this. Heir Apparent, 2 mana. And it's one of these cards. A deck can have any number of the cards named Heir Apparent. So you can have 40 of these in 20 lands, right? And then it's a 2/2 rabbit. Rabbits already get buffed by everything. There's a bunch of things that buff rabbits. And whenever this creature enters, create a number of 1/1 rabbit creature tokens equal to the number of other creatures you control named Heir Apparent. So if you have 2 of these out and you play a third, you make 2 1/1 rabbits on top of playing the 2/2. And then rabbits love more rabbits, and things buff tokens and rabbits. My God, I think there's a deck here. Seer Slicer Goblin. There's a goblin theme here. 2 mana Goblin Warrior 2/1, not legendary, and it has raid. Raid is whenever if you've attacked, you get a benefit at the beginning of your end step. Again, you don't have to attack with this creature, so you can attack with smaller goblins. And then it says at the beginning of your end step, if you attacked, again, not with this creature, but it could be with this creature, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. So you're going to make 1/1s every time, including the tournament entered that are goblins. There's already a goblin lord that buffs all your goblins. Sounds good to me. One of my favorite cards, Sunblessed Healer, 2 mana, Human Cleric, 3/1 lifelink, already nice. You can kick it for paying 2 more and then return a non-land permanent, not just a creature, with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. We're getting back Insidious Roots, guys. I know there's plenty of things to do with this, but we're getting back Insidious Roots, and that's what we're doing. Get ready for it. Swiftblade Vindicator. This is going to be annoying, I can tell. 2 mana Boros Human Soldier, not legendary. It's a 1/1 with double strike, vigilance, and trample. So all you have to do is buff a creature to this guy with a combat trick that gives something +4/+4, right? Or whatever. We'll play Bane Splitter on this, right? +2/+0 or whatever. And you don't have to worry about double strike or trample, and this stays on blocks. This is going to be crazy. If you get this thing to like a 5/5, you stay on blocks and you win every race because you can block it, and you're doing 10 damage a piece, and it's trample, so they can't even jump block it. Woo! And it's only 2 mana, so if they kill it with removal, whatever, right? Talking about killing things with removal, turns out there is a thing that blanks removal entirely forever. 2 mana Swiftfoot Boots, artifact equipment, 1 mana to equip, so it's just 1 more than the other boots, right? That gives things haste, but this gives it hexproof, which means you can never target the creature ever, and there's no way, unless you board wipe it or do a sacrifice effect. It's a little wild to have in standard for 5 years, but we'll see. Why is that happening like that? Let's see if I can move it there. There we go. Tiny Bones, Bauble Burglar. I'm a Skeletons guy. You know I'm going to love this card. 2 mana Skeleton Rogue, 1/3. Whenever an opponent discards a card, we exile it and we can play it at any time as long as this is still in play for its mana cost. So you plus Liliana, they discard a card. It's a Go for the Throat. We can play the Go for the Throat for 2. It's a Sheldred. We can play their Sheldred for 4. And we can force the discard by playing 4 and tapping this, and then each opponent discards a card. Also, with corpses, it'll be a 2/3 haste, which is not great, but I guess we'll have to make a skeleton discard deck because this is about as good as I've seen for a top end on discard. For 2 mana, too. Wildborn. Man, it's hard to get these little side boxes to go. Wildborn Preserver, 2 mana creature, elf archer. It's going in our Flash Simic deck. Flash, reach. It's a reprint, but it's amazing. And whenever a non-human creature you control enters, you may pay X and put X +1/+1 counters on this creature. So whenever you play other creatures, you buff this thing to the sky. So then you can play a lot of 1/1s with this. And it doesn't matter if you draw 1/1 late, because it still will let you get all this value. And then like a 10/10 reach will be nice. Also, just playing a 2 mana Flash Reach will mess up a lot of strategies. Like the bat can never attack, because we'll always have this on blocks if we're playing green. All right, on to 3 drops. Power level, next level, baby. This is Abyssal Harvester. 3 mana creature, demon, warlock. It's a 3/2. And then you tap it to exile target creature from your graveyard that was put there this turn. Create a token that was a copy of it, except it's a nightmare. And if you try to do this more than once, you have to kill your last version of it. But what this means, we can play this with Liliana, and plus our Liliana, our Atraxa or whatever goes to the graveyard. We just tap this, we get Atraxa out, ETB, literally the full Atraxa, all the ETBs go off. And if we want to do it again, we have to kill the first Atraxa. But that seems busted. And also we can play Tyvar, beforehand to tap this on the turn it enters, because Tyvar is a planeswalker for 3 mana Golgari that has an ability that you can tap creatures for their abilities as if they had haste, right? So pretty cool. This is going to be a skeleton because this is adaptive automation, 3 mana artifact creature construct. As this creature enters, choose a creature type. This creature is the chosen type in addition to its other types, and other creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. So let's say we make this a skeleton. If there's a corpses out, this will be a 4/3 haste, or no, a 3/2 haste, but it'll also buff all our other skeletons +1/+1. So very interesting. And you can play it in any color, right? Which is nice. All right, a Johnny, Color of the Pride. There is a planeswalker in every single color, but I'm only showing you the white and blue because I think they're the best because they're cheap. This one is a reprint, but it starts with 4 loyalty for 3. And you can plus it, so it comes in with 5. And you put a +1/+1 on target creature. Or you can -3 it, which is by far the best ability. Target creature gains flying and double strike until end of turn. That'll just win if you put it on a big creature. There's a bunch of 2 mana creatures that are big, right? Especially if you do like big mill creatures and then give it flying and double strike and it does 12 damage and it's GG. But then this is still around even if you do that the first turn, right? It doesn't go away. So that's pretty nuts. And you can -8 to create X 2/2 white cat creature tokens where X is your life total. So if you have 20 life, you make 20 of those. And you can do it after 4 turns, right? Plus there are ways to get more like proliferate and stuff. Pretty wild card. Alicia, Who Laughs at Fate, 3 mana Rakdos, human warrior, first strike. When it attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on it. That's nice. And it has raid. So at the beginning of your end step, if you attacked this turn with any creature, not just this, return target creature card with mana value less than or equal to its power from your graveyard to the battlefield. So without doing anything, if you just attack, you can get a 1/1. Wait, less than or equal to. Oh my god. So the first turn, you can get back a 2 mana creature. Second turn, a 3 mana creature. Third turn, a 4 mana creature. I think we're doing stuff here. All right. Arabo, the First Fang. There is a cat's theme here, and this is the Cat Lord. It's awesome. There are green and white cheap cats already. I made a cats deck 2 seasons ago. They're all still in standard, so I think cats is going to be something. 3 mana, cat avatar, 2/2. Other cats have +1/+1, and whenever you play a non-token cat, you make a 1/1 cat. What on earth? There's also a great cat payoff I'll show later. Death Baron. I'm a skeleton boy, and this is amazing. We have so many ways to buff things now. 3 mana, zombie wizard, skeletons you control, and other zombies get +1/+1 in death touch. So all our skeletons have death touch too. You know we're doing this banger. Empyrean Eagle, one of my favorite cards last time it was in standard. 3 mana, uncommon, bird spirit, 2/3. Flying. Other creatures with flying get +1/+1. You'll be shocked that this can close out games. You've got some 1/1s and 2/1s, right? Flyers, and all of a sudden they're 2/2s and 3/2s. You know, it's hard to block flyers, and an all flyer deck with this in it will really put on the pressure. Fire Spitter Whelp. There are some cool dragons. This is a very interesting one, right? 3 mana, uncommon, 2/2, flying. Whenever you cast a non-creature or dragon spell, ping the opponent for 1 damage. Super fun. Super fun. Gutless Plunderer. This is a card most people probably won't like, but I think is going to be a banger. We're putting in skeletons. I might even like this more than all the other skeleton things. 3 mana, Death Touch, Skeleton Pirate. Also, it's Pirate and an Outlaw. Raid. When this enters, if you attacked this turn, so I guess raid doesn't just mean at the end step. It's just you get a benefit if you attacked, because this one checks when it enters, which is nice. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may put one of those back on the top of your library, rest in your graveyard. So we can play back skeletons from the graveyard and certain zombies and things. So that's awesome. It's kind of like drawing cards. If we put corpses or something on top, we'll be fine with that. I'd rather draw it, but it is what it is. And this will be a 3/2 Death Touch skeleton if we already have corpses out, right? Or some way to buff our skeletons. So pretty nasty. This is the other planeswalker I thought was notable. 3 mana, Kato. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, put a loyalty counter on it. So the first turn you attack him with 3 like 1/1 flyers in your Gix deck. And this goes up to 6 loyalty. Then you plus it and it goes up to 7. And by the way, when you plus it, one creature can't be blocked and you draw a card and discard a card. Eidetic Memory, let's go. And then if you ever get to 9, which by the way, in that play pattern, you can do it like turn 2 if you have creatures out before this, then you minus it and you get an emblem. Whenever a player casts any spell, you get a 2/1 ninja. And then for -2, you make a 2/1 ninja. I think this is a banger. I think it's a complete banger. Talk about a banger. Maelstrom Pulse, 3 mana Golgari, sorcery, destroy target non-land permanent and all of the permanents with the same name as that permanent. Sorcery, bummer, but they have 2 of the same overlords. We kill both. They have a bunch of tokens. We kill them all. They've used 3 ossifications on you. You get them all out by killing one of them. You kill them all. There's a lot of fun things, right? They've temporary lockdown you twice. You kill both temporary lockdowns. I mean, there's infinite ways this can be awesome. Midnight Reaper, 3 mana zombie knight. This is a banger. It used to exist, and it's great. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, bummer. I can't do it with skeletons easily. Skeletons has tokens. Oh well. This creature deals 1 damage to you when you draw a card, and it's a 3/2. The reason this is so good, also it's a zombie at a night, is because even when this dies, it triggers. So you play this, they kill it, you draw a card and lose 1 life. That's pretty good still. You have this and 2 other creatures, they wipe you, you draw 3 cards, lose 3 life. Watch out about losing life, but that is pretty nasty. Mossborn Hydra. This is going to win a lot of games. 3 mana Hydra. It's not legendary, rare, trample. It enters with 1/1/1/1 counter, but whenever a land comes into play, Fabled Passage does it twice. There's plenty of ways to do lands these days. Then you double the number of +1/+1 counters. So there's 1, then there's 2, then there's 4, then there's 8, then there's 16. And you can speed that up by proliferating or putting counters on this thing. Let's say we follow this up by giving it a few counters. Now the next time it'll be 6, right? So, and then it has trample, so it's getting through. Really nice green top end, and boy did they need it. And it's only 3 mana for a top end. Those are nice top ends there. Scrawling Crawler. Woo, this is fun. 3 mana, colorless in any deck, artifact creature, and it's a Phyrexian and a construct. At the beginning of your upkeep, each player draws a card. Eidetic Memory, that's fun, because then we get counters and they don't. Put it with Sheldred in the same deck, because Sheldred benefits us when we draw cards, but hurts them when they draw cards. Eidetic likes that. That's a deck already. Eidetic, this, and Sheldred, let's go. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 1 life. So then it further penalizes them for that. And it's on a nice body. Pretty nasty. Look at this card. Sylvian Scavenging, 3 mana green. Green needed the help, and I think they got it. At the beginning of your end step, choose 1, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, or if you have a creature with power 4 or greater, you can make a 3/3 raccoon each turn. And like you can make a 3/3, if you have a smaller creature, it'll eventually turn into a 4/4 because of these counters. There's 2 mana things with 4 power these days. Even if you play a 4/2 on turn 3 and then play this on turn 4, I mean, you're making 3/3s each turn. And then in order for them to shut this down, they'd have to like kill your 4 power thing. Now you have another 3/3. It'll turn into a 4/4. I mean, that's as big of a token maker every turn that I've ever seen. Also, you have are there any creature lands that can get this big? I guess Crawling Barrens, which is in the set, right, can grow. But you can animate a creature land and put counters on it, and then it'll be 4 greater. That's interesting. At instant speed, right? Interesting things. All right. The real skeleton. The real skeleton's right here, baby. Taurine Mauler. The reason I keep saying the real skeleton, I love skeleton tribal. So whenever I see these different things that can work with tribal decks, my mind always goes to skeletons, but it can go to whatever you want. If you like little goblins or elves or whatever, go for it. The Taurine Mauler, 3 mana shapeshifter, not legendary. It's a changeling, so it's every creature type. So you don't have to even name skeleton. It'll be every single creature type. So it'll get all the benefits of any tribal thing. And then whenever an opponent casts a spell, you may put a +1/+1 on this creature, any spell. So the first turn in skeletons, this will be a 3/2 haste if we have corpses, right? And then it'll be 4/3. Like, there's so many fun things. We're putting this card in so many decks. Oh, okay. On to 4 mana. there's an angel theme, and they have Gerarda and like some 2 mana angels back that are really nice to help with your curve. But then this is a crazy angel payoff. 4 mana Exemplar of Light, flying. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 on this creature. Whenever you put a one or more +1/+1 counter on this creature, draw a card. It only triggers once. But if you just have one of those things that when a creature enters, you gain life, you play this, it turns into a 4/4, and you draw a card, and then you can do it every turn after that. That's a top end. Talking about another one and a budget banger. Look at, I love the art, by the way, too. Fiendish Panda, 4 mana, Orzhov, Bear Demon, uncommon, 3/2. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 on this creature. Again, it'll come in as a 4/3, right? If you have it set up right. Or potentially more on these if there's multiple triggers. And then when it dies, return target non-bear creature card with mana value less than or equal to its power from your graveyard to the battlefield. So if this is a 5/4, you can bring back a 5 mana creature from your graveyard. I mean, I know exile exists, but I still think this could be something. Homunculus Horde, fun card. 4 mana creature, and whenever you draw your second card each turn, create a token that's a copy of this creature. And then it still has this text, so then the next time you do it, you make 2 copies, and the next time 4, because they keep triggering off each other. So it's just a fun little card. We'll try to make it work. Kranko, for some reason this has the other language version, but it's a 4 mana goblin, 3/3. You can tap it, and the line says make X goblin 1/1 goblins equal to the number of goblins you control, including this one. So let's say you have 3 goblins total, including this. You tap it, you make 3 more 1/1s, and then the next turn you tap it and you make 6 1/1s because it counts the new goblins you made. Not to mention, like I said, if we can fit this in with Tyvar, it's a little hard with green and black mana. You could tap it the first turn, or if you give it haste, right, you could tap it the first turn. Very, very cool. Oops, I don't know why. Those things, they'll be the death of me. This Revenge of the Rats, 4 mana sorcery, uncommon. My God, this card's awesome. Create a tapped 1/1 rat creature token for each creature in your graveyard. So if we have 5 creatures in our graveyard, we make 5 1/1s. They're tapped, but they can block, and they're rats, and we're going to play in our rats deck. If we have 10, we're going to make 10 of them. And the best part, you can flash it back only for the same mana cost, 4. So we just mill a bunch of things in our rats deck, in or something else, and then we just play it from our graveyard. We make like 7 1/1s, and they're rats. Let's go, baby. Surrak Huntcaller, fun card, 4 mana legendary creature, human warrior. There is a warrior theme too, by the way. There's some good warriors. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if creatures you control have total power 8 or greater, target creature you control gains haste until end of turn. It comes in as a 5/4. So if you just have a 3/3 out and you play this, it counts both. You have 8. This comes in with haste, and then every other creature comes in with haste. Sounds reasonable. Sounds reasonable. These things are funny. I should have set that up better, huh? Banner, what I'm talking about, the little they have little things that be like, this is not card standard legal yet. That's what those little black boxes are. Banner of Kinship, 5 mana artifact. As this artifact enters, choose a creature type. I choose skeleton. This artifact enters with a fellowship counter on it for each creature you control of the chosen type. So we have 3 skeletons. This comes in with 3 counters on it. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1 for each counter on this artifact. Okay, so my skeletons all get +3/+3 for the end of the rest of the game. Sounds good. Claws Out, 5 mana instant, uncommon, budget banger. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each cat you control. Cats already are all about playing a million cats, so this will oftentimes be 2 mana because it can't go less than 2, right? Given how the mana set up. And then creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn at instant speed on a cat's deck that's already go wide. For insane. Gonna be sick. Bloodthirsty Conqueror, Vampire Knight, 5 mana, flying, death touch, 5/5. Not legendary. Whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life. I'm very confused. I think there's like 4 cards in standard right now that say when you gain life, an opponent loses life, including like a 2 mana one, right? I don't even think they're limited to like once a turn. So if you just have any of those cards out and you play this, and then you gain or lose life, the game just ends. Whoosh. They're really going hard with this. All right, talking about other cards that are a little crazy. Hopefully this is too expensive. Aurelia, the war leader, 6 mana, Boros. It's an angel, flying vigilance, haste, 3/4. Whenever it attacks for the first time each turn, so the turn it enters, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase, so you attack twice. You can play the 4 mana thing that where you pick a creature type. It's like a construct, and then it'll be an angel. It's an artifact, and then it says double all triggers of that creature type. So then you'd get 3 attack steps, and that's kind of on curve with this, right? Because we're all close to on curve. I hope this is not a thing. At least it's legendary. I'm not even sure if that's good or not. I don't know. At least it's 6 mana, I guess. Coma. This is a fun one. So 6 mana as well. And maybe it's too expensive, but it's a legendary serpent. Trample word 4, and it's an 8/12. So that's a big boy that's hard to kill. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create 4 3/3 blue serpent creature tokens named Coma's Toil. The reason I like this is there's ways to just make a copy of something in your graveyard for 1 turn, attack in with it, and you still, if you hit, you get the attack trigger, and then even though you sacrifice at the end, you get 4 3/3s. There's like a 2 mana Orzhov guy. There's a few of them where it's like exile a card in your graveyard, and then this turns into that until end of turn. If we turn our 2 mana guy into this till end of turn, we attack in. It has ward 4 and trample. It's getting through, and we're making 3/3s. Who cares that it isn't it anymore? I think that they might have overlooked something. All right, Galta Primal Hunger. This is a fun reprint. Dino for all the Dino boys. 12 mana, legendary creature. And this spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total power of creatures you control. 12/12 trample. So if you just have a 2/2 out, a 3/3, and a 4/4, I don't know, I didn't do math, but if you add up your creature's power, and it's really easy to get like to 9 or 10, and this will be 2 or 3 mana, right? Easy. Also, if you just buff a creature with combat tricks, and it's like a 9/1, like your Cacophony, then you can play this for 3 mana. It can be killed, but it comes in very cheap and can end the game if they don't kill it. So very, very cool. Is that the end of my cool cards? I think so. Look at these beautiful tokens, though. All right, we're gonna bust Foundations open, like and subscribe. Let's go. Mythic with a 4 rare deck. Let's go. Yeah, smashing. Let's go.